Continuing our special series of reports this week on 9/11, and after the September 11th attacks in 2001, many people turned or returned to their faith.
But religious leaders say not for long. And tonight, Fox 11 is on special assignment with reporter Robert Hornacek, who takes a look at faith 10 years after 9/11.
Was a day that tested and in many ways renewed people's faith. Three days after the attack, the nation gathered for a national day of prayer and remembrance. Washington, D.C. to northeast Wisconsin, people gathered in song and in silence. That day, Pastor Leonard Below, who was ordained as a minister on September 11th of 1955, led the prayer service at Christ the King Church in Howard.
There was a certain fear among the people, and of course, was that the beginning of something, or would that be the end of it? And it was simply an opportunity to assure people to put their trust in the one true God.
But Below says that return to God didn't last long.
And I think today people have kind of wandered away in their thinking.
God is working at your work in some way.
At Calvary Bible Church in Neenah, Pastor Harry Shields noticed a similar trend.
In many ways, it brought kind of a mini revival, not just to the church, but to many churches across the country. I wish I could say that it continued, and I'm sure in the lives of some people, it drew them to the Lord, but I think we are far from that point today.
In fact, 10 years after 9/11, Shields says we still have a lot to learn.
I think our country had a wake-up call and people started to come back, but there's this ongoing, continuing secularization of life, and it's a concern to me.
What 9/11 did was remind us of our vulnerability. It reminded us that we're not nearly as much in control as we would like to think we are.
Religious studies professor Paul Waddell from St. Norbert College says it's common for people to turn to religion to help deal with tragedy.
People were having a hard time saying, well, how do I understand this? How do I try to comprehend it? So I think in many ways they turned to religion, because religion is one way of trying to deal with what we sometimes call ultimate questions.
It's also common, he says, for that to fade.
I think we're in a very different space now in our country than we were 10 years ago, which in a way I think is troubling. I think today, instead of maybe reaching out across boundaries, I think at times we're creating more boundaries.
Especially between faiths.
Killing one innocent person, one, in the eyes of God is like you kill the whole mankind.
Nadim Siddiqui has lived in Appleton for more than a decade. He says unlike some other Muslims, he did not have any problems after the terrorist attacks.
Definitely we had fear, Muslim did have fear. At that time, some people try to hide their identity, not to be. In some places, few places, there was hatred, crime happened, some people were attacked also. Not here, I did not have, to be honest, any problem,
While the 19 hijackers were part of the Islamic terrorist group known as Al-Qaeda, Siddiqui says Islam condemns the killing of innocent people. He says those who teach and do otherwise will answer to God.
They cannot change the Quran. They can change the word and manipulate, right? Some people do, right? And God will say they will have very severe punishment in the hereafter.
Siddiqui says people need to get to know Muslims in northeast Wisconsin.
They have to be just and find out, let's see, how many Muslims they have interacted with, how many Muslims they have ate with, how many Muslims they do business with them. Then you will know really truly what truly Muslims are.
It's always easier to fear the other than it is to reach out to them. And I think religion should challenge us to go beyond, some of our assumptions about other people, to go beyond our fears and to try to reach out.
Pastor Bilo says despite our differences, people of all faith traditions need to follow a simple rule.
Love your neighbor as yourself. Do you want to be hurt? No. Then don't hurt him. No, while we disagree on the religious aspects and disagree, for example, on the gospel, that Jesus is the only Savior for us, while we might disagree on that, we don't violently attack those and knock those down or ridicule or belittle.
For more on the impact of September 11th, join us this Sunday morning at 10:30 on CW14. We're debuting a new half-hour program called CW14 Focus. Our first program will focus exclusively on the 10th anniversary of the terrorist attacks. Our panel will look at what happened that day and where we are today as a country and as a community. For Fox 11 on Special Assignment, I'm Robert Hornacek.